You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hi, everyone. This is Stellar Success Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tudor Francu, and I have the privilege of having my guest here with me, Dr. Khurram Pervaiz, which is a very known figure in orthopedic surgery in the area, in the Baltimore area. Was featured in Baltimore Magazine as a top doctor for the past few years, and is very well known for his accomplishments. He's also a very avid scuba diver, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I just want to start giving Dr. Pervaiz a little time to get to know each other and tell us about himself a little bit. Nice to have you here, Dr. Pervaiz.
Thank you.
So I just want to kind of start, with my title, right? It's called Stellar Success. And, we're all medical professionals. Our audience is healthcare professionals in general. And I want to see, what is your perspective in terms of what success means to you, and how would you define being successful, and what's your why in general to be successful?
So I think my thoughts on this topic have changed over the years. I've been in practice for 13 years. As a young man, as a young orthopedic surgeon, and in the early part of my career, I always considered success as, how many patients do you see every day? How much surgery do you do? What do your patients think about you? What do your peers think about you? A lot of the success that I considered early on in my career may also have been sort of based on my financial success. Okay, because financial success, something you can put a number on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
how much money did I make this year? And how much did I save? So I think as a young person, I used to very heavily rely on that as a measure of success. But now, and my thoughts on this have changed over the last few years. And whereas those things are still a measure of success, I think success is better defined in terms of how good you are as a well-rounded human being. Not just your success professionally, but also how good you are in terms of how good you are to the people around you.
As a person.
As a person, absolutely. How much good you do, and you don't just have to do good deeds. Just a smile can be a good thing.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So I mean, so success is for me now. I'm 45 years old now. I'm like halfway through my life, and success for me now, I would say, is a multitude of things. So it's about my relationships with my people, my coworkers, my family, and then also very important is my relationship with myself. As doctors, as surgeons, specifically anesthesiologists, very successful people, we tend to be trained to be pretty harsh to ourselves. We're all perfectionists, we desire perfection. So sometimes we have to be kind to ourselves. Failures are okay. Sometimes we're going to have failures. Failures are okay. You have to give yourself some latitude, give yourself some grace. So I think my definition of success has changed. So a lot of what success to me now is how happy I am with myself, and am I happy with where I am, and am I taking care of myself? Am I not just focusing on work, but also focusing on other things, my health, my relationship with the people around me, my family, my friends. So I think all of that ties into success for me now. It never used to be like that, but now it is.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I love the way you define success, the relationship with yourself. This is something that I've never heard before, and I love it. I read somewhere that in general, it's not what you accomplish, is who you become in the process of accomplishing whatever you want to accomplish as a successful person. So, um, this is an interesting concept that I want to get my guests to chime on, because many people have different successful lives, right? And at the end, for all medical professionals, it's not only our profession, it's how we round up as a person, like you said, and how you feel comfortable in your
Exactly.
skin with yourself. That's a very good point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
So, because the way that the way that we're trained in medicine, we're trained and taught that our job is our life. And it took me a long time to figure this out, that even though my job is very important to me, I love taking care of patients and I want everybody to do great. I work really hard. But at the end of the day, it's still a job. And we're going to make mistakes, and it's not always going to be perfect. And what matters most is how we do overall. It's not just the job, it's a lot of other things. And so, and also about, satisfaction and happiness. And also one thing that I lately learned, and just in the past few years, is a sense of peace within yourself, a peace with being happy with yourself.
yeah, that's amazing. That's a great point. You come to a conclusion like that, and all of a sudden, everything opens up, right, in your life, and you realize it's not
Mhm.
just your profession, right? So this is what we want to talk about in this interview, and I want to kind of get your opinion on a couple of things. Um, Speaking of profession, right? You're a very accomplished physician. You're a renowned orthopedic surgeon in this area, and you take care of patients very well. What do you think it was a big win in your career that you remember and kind of moved you up and pushed you over the line?
A couple of things, there were some, there were moments, there's moments in your career that really propel you to the next step. And I think one of big turning points for me was when I joined the surgical center where you work. Uh, that was one of the pivotal moments that helped propel my career forward. Also, one of another really, really big turning point was me for me was when I so this was a difficult thing to do, but when I finally realized that I couldn't do everything well. So
You saw your own
because
limitations.
yes, that was one of the big turning points for me when I learned and I realized, and because I've always been a very sort of OCD uh, surgeon, and that's what makes surgeons good. When we're
Right.
very obsessive compulsive, we try to control everything. That's what makes you a good surgeon. But and it took me a while to realize this, but I finally realized it, and I also had to sort of train myself to be okay with giving up control. And I had to learn that I have to give up control sometimes, and I have to give up control to the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to surround myself with people that are also good and who also have high work ethical standards. And if I surround myself with those people and I surround myself with a good team, then I don't really have to do every little task every single time.
That's a great
And
point.
not only did it improve my work life balance and bring me more happiness, it also helped me be busier because now I can do more tasks and do more things, but I don't have to directly do it. I'm delegating to very successful and very competent people. So that it took me a while to give up that control, but once I gave up that control, it helped propel my career to the next step.
That's great.
You
Yeah,
have to
that's a,
surround yourself with you you have to surround yourself with good people, and because it's about a team. It's not just
yes,
you can't do everything yourself. You have to in any business or any job in life, you have to have a good team.
absolutely. Like they say, if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go with the team. That's a
Right.
great point. Yeah. I like that. It's impressive how we realize those things working with people around us, right? And surrounding yourself with the right people. Um, you're basically the average of people around you, right? That's what
Exactly.
it's all about. Yeah. Um, Also, it's another interesting thing I want to get your opinion on. And we are trained as a medical professionals to do everything by the book, like you said, right? And don't make mistakes. And we deal with patients' lives. But it's also about taking risks, right? In this profession. And I want to see, there's a quote out there that says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Um,
Mhm.
is there any specific risk or a moment where you roll the dice that worked really well for you? And in general, how do you deal with taking risks?
Well, I mean, every day we're taking risks, right? I mean, that's the nature of surgery. Like every time we operate on somebody, we're taking a risk of the patient not doing well, having a complication. I mean, so you and I, we're taking those risks every single day, a lot more than the average person.
Yeah,
So, and so because you know because there will be patients unfortunately who will not do well, but the majority of patients will do exceptionally well. But if we don't take that risk, then we don't get anybody better,
that's
you
right.
know. And so we have to take that risk. So as people who work in the surgical field, we have to take those risks. And I think because of some of that training we receive, we're also more sort of prone, and maybe in a good way, or sometimes maybe in a bad way. People in our profession are also potentially prone to take risks in other facets in life, like investments, for example, and maybe make bad investment choices, and not really
Right.
evaluate the risks of those investments well, especially if you're not financially savvy.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I think one of the most valuable assets that we have as medical professionals in general is the willingness to persist longer than anybody else, because we deal with stuff that we have to solve, right? in a way or another. It's a patient life, it's a patient situation, a surgery that didn't go well or had a complication, like you said, or stuff like that, right? So in that regard, can you share a time where in your career that things didn't really go the way you wanted or didn't go well? And how did you go through that moment?
You mean in terms of like maybe a patient's
Yeah,
surgical
like
outcome?
in your professional career.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, I mean, I've always tried to be, and I've always felt that my duty was to be very honest with my patients. And was, I'm also very fortunate that I had some really good mentors who, and this is something that we can all be better at, but I also try to be a compassionate, empathetic human being. So, because of the fact that I'm very busy, and because I also take care of a lot of really complex patients with complex problems, sometimes we have patients who, after surgery, have not done well. And I'm honest with them. I sit with them. I listen to their concerns. I tell them I'm in it for the long haul, and I don't give up. So there are patients who, unfortunately, we've had to, they sometimes have to have lengthy recoveries. But I don't give up on my patients. So if unfortunately they have a complication or something, that I feel an obligation to them, so I take them through it, and that's always been my approach, and that served me well. So it's not just one incident, but over
Hmm.
my career, I've had, because I'm so busy, I've seen complications, and I've seen even other people's complications. I've had patients referred to me from other surgeons with complications, and I've always, taken my patients through it, and try to get them better. And for the most part, it's been a very rewarding and very successful career. I think that I can count on my fingertips maybe a handful of patients that I wasn't able to help. I think majority, I would say 99.999% of my patients I've been able to help.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great approach, right? You have to be always honest and realize that you can be perfect, right? We're just here to help other people in their issues surgically or medically or whatever it is. Um, but that's a great point.
You have to, so a couple of, yeah, and a couple of other things. You also have to realize your limitations. We are also humans, and this took me a long time to be okay with. We're also humans. We also make mistakes.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the system is set up in a way that if you do make a mistake, thankfully I've not made any mistakes in my career, no major mistakes anyway, but the system is set up in a way that it you're you're very harshly punished if you make mistakes. But that is one of uh, the things people will do, and even surgeons were people, anesthesiologists were people. We do make mistakes, so
right.
the way to handle them is to, own up to them, learn from them, never abandon the patient. We still help the patient. And also, I've always, anytime I sit down with a patient, especially when we're talking about surgery, I always ask myself, this treatment that I'm recommending to this person, is it the treatment that I will recommend for my parents, or for me, or for a family member? I've felt that from day one, and that is the only treatment I recommend for my patients, is the treatment that I would do for me or for my family. And if surgery, and if it's not surgery, I don't recommend surgery for them. So I don't, I only treat patients the way that I would treat myself, always. And this
That's
approach has led me down a really good and successful path.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. You have to put yourself in the shoes of that person, of that patient, right? And think, what would my parent do, or what would my parents say if I do that? Yeah, that's a great point. Um, I want to kind of switch the gears a little bit on the mindset that gets you and got you to this point of being so successful in your career. um, and talk a little bit about your skills or habits that were successful for you and are successful for you, and you rely on them day to day. How does a day look like for you in terms of routines or habits, or things that you love to do to keep you successful?
So a part of this is also, I think we're born with this. I am extremely regimented. I've been very regimented from a young age. I wake up early. I'm always one of the first ones in the office. I walk into the office when nobody's in there. I like to start my day early. I like to prep early. Even on a weekend, I'll wake up early, and it's just an innate thing that I was always born with. So, I think one of the keys to my success is that is hard work, and it's a ability I believe that some of us are born with. I can pretty much outwork most people I know. I
I
can
know
work
that.
harder. I can work harder, longer hours than anyone I know, and so that has helped me go far in my life and in my career. And uh, some of this is also because I'm an immigrant. I came from nothing. My parents gave me an education. I came to this country with nothing, only an education. And I had people that doubted me. I had people that told me I'm not going to be able to do this or do that. You can never be a surgeon. You're a foreigner. And I would listen to these folks, but I never took it to heart. I believe so. I always tell people this: key to success, number one, hard work. Number two, never ever take no for an answer. So if you really want to achieve something in life, there's only one person who can hold you from that, and that is you. Because I believe that there is literally nothing that you cannot accomplish if you put your mind to it. If you work hard enough, you can achieve it. It may take you some time. When I interviewed for orthopedics, the interviewers asked me, "What is your fallback if you don't get into ortho?" And I said, "I don't have a fallback." And the truth is, I never did. If it was going to take me the next 30 years of my life to get into orthopedics, that's what I was going to spend the next 30 years, because I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So the key to that is, don't take no for an answer, keep working hard, and keep moving forward.
That's great. That's a great point, and I believe anybody can learn from you in this regard, because as you said, being here as an immigrant, and I know personally because I had the same kind of path. It opens you up to a certain way of persistence that you
Hmm.
need to have, and don't give up.
Hmm.
Like you said, don't take no for an answer, and don't quit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's a very interesting approach you have. Are there any, even now, are there any books or podcasts, or even people or mentors that you're following or you listen to keep you going?
So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to audiobooks, also read books. Lately, I have been reading books on spirituality,
Hmm.
mindfulness, peacefulness. As you can imagine, you know this, our jobs are very stressful, and attaining an inner peace is important because that helps us actually take better care of the people around us.
Yeah.
Uh, so lately, I've been reading books by Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh
Hmm.
was a Buddhist, so I've been reading books by him. I've been reading some books by Eckhart Tolle. There's a spiritual guru, Michael Singer. I've read some of his books, and so just I'm just trying to, I'm at a point in my career where my career is on a trajectory where I'm happy. I work hard. I like what I do. Um, I'm at a point where I'm trying my work is in a place where I'm very happy with it, and now I'm trying to be more happy internally, because that's something that doesn't come by itself. You have to work on it.
Yeah.
You have to find your internal happiness. Money doesn't buy internal happiness. You have to work on the internal happiness.
That's right. That's very true. And it's a training like anything else, right? You need to train for it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So in terms of your daily routines, like we talked about, how do you approach your life outside your profession, like your health routine, your nutrition, your fitness? What do you like to do? What you don't like to do?
Hmm. So I used to lift a lot. When I was younger, I used to weight train, lift a lot. I was a little bit of a meathead. Used to spend a lot of time in the gym lifting heavy weights. I no longer do that. But I focus more on just taking care of my body. I'm very conscious of what I eat. I really don't eat any sweets or unhealthy things. Partly also because I have in my family there's a really strong history of diabetes.
Hmm.
So I'm conscious of sugar and stuff like that. And then I exercise daily. I exercise every single day, whether that's lifting. So I will lift, I'll do cardio. I do a lot of biking.
Hmm.
Every weekend, I bike anywhere from 40 to 50 miles. I even bike during the week. I also swim. I also do a lot of other outdoor activities, hiking.
Hmm.
We have our own kayaks, our own paddle boards. I'm a very busy scuba diver, and lately I have been getting more into free diving. Just very active. I mean, I have to exercise every day. It's just the endorphins, and the relaxation that I get from exercise is very important for me. I think one has to exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
No, I totally agree with you. You need to keep moving, and I'm,
And no fast food. I don't eat any fast food. I try to eat very healthy. I also during the day, and it could also be because of the job, because it's hard to eat big meals during the day.
yeah,
During the day, I do a lot of intermittent fasting. So especially on like surgery days, I don't really eat during the day. I really will only have a little bit of something during the day. Also because if I eat during the day, it gives me like a little bit of it brings me down after
yeah.
the sugar high. So I do a lot of intermittent fasting during the day on the surgery days at least. And then so I just, I watch my diet and I just exercise a lot, and I love it. I love exercising. It's just a part of my life. I've done it since I was a teenager.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know you're getting on a lot of, outdoor trips.
Hmm.
You do a lot of scuba diving trips. And by the way, whoever wants to check your videos are amazing from going to those scuba divers trips. You have a great camera, and I enjoy watching your pictures and your videos. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, it's interesting, also to talk about the financial aspects that we're dealing with as medical professionals. And as you know, many of us are kind of, I would say stuck in this financial realm of being a doctor, right? We work, we get an income. It's a very good income, but there's a lot of talk out there of how we can accomplish some other passive income streams um, during our lifetime, right? Other than our medical income. How do you see this approach? What kind of strategies do you use in this respect in terms of finances and investments, and in general, how do you see the subject?
So this is a topic that's that's not really discussed enough, I believe. In financial literacy is something that's not really taught. It's something,
Yeah,
it's amazing how much knowledge we receive as physicians or even in any profession. It's amazing how much knowledge we receive, but there's very little financial literacy. So I was fortunate in that early in my career, I learned from some, I was able to learn a lot of these things from some really savvy financial advisors. And then I started my investment journey very early. So the keys to success financially are, for me, number one, start early, right? The sooner you can start, the better. I mean, if you can start when you're a teenager, that's even better. But
yeah,
certainly try to start in your 20s. Unfortunately, as doctors, we don't start until much later. Thankfully, I started when I was a fellow. So I was able to start, early in my early 30s, and I'm 45 now, right? So you start early because with interest, your portfolio is going to grow. So that's the first thing. Number one, you start early. Number two, start even with a little bit. Any little bit will help. Okay. So the key is any little bit will help, and consistency. Save, save, save as much as possible. Don't listen to the people that tell you that if you make $100, you can buy a house that's worth 600. That's that will lead you down the wrong path. You're going to
yeah,
stretch yourself too thin. So you live within your means. So let's say somebody has a $50,000 salary, they should not be buying a $200,000 house. Okay? So some of these financial gurus will tell you, go ahead and buy a house that's 3, 4 times your salary. That is not a good idea. You want to buy a house that's literally should be, in my opinion, your house should be worth even less than your annual salary. Okay? That's how much, because if you do that, then you're going to have a lot of extra money to save and to invest. So it's about consistency. So I live within my means. So I didn't buy a super expensive house. I bought a house that's way less than my annual salary, right?
yeah,
I also didn't buy a car that's super expensive for me. So I started investing at a very young age. And the other thing is consistency. Every month I invest. I have a certain amount of money out of my paycheck goes directly into investment. So you invest every single month. Is consistent,
yeah.
no matter whether
Regardless
the
of how the
market is
market
up
does.
or
Right.
whether, right, you're right. And then you surround yourself with savvy financial advisors who give you good advice. You also follow other good rules. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Even if
Yeah,
an investment seems like it's the best investment on earth, don't make the mistake of investing 10% of your portfolio in it. If you do that, then and the investment goes, if it doesn't do well, then you're going to lose all that money. So follow good financial investment principle, but the key, the biggest thing is consistency, live within your means, save as much as possible, save early, save as much as possible, invest, 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 because nothing is going to grow your retirement account or your savings or your all of that more than the compound interest. The
That's right.
compound interest is what's going to propel. It's going to propel. I mean, it is amazing. Those of us who have invested, started early in life, it is amazing where you can get in 10, 15 years, even with a little bit of savings.
I agree.
So
I
that
totally
that
agree.
for me is the key.
Yeah,
And then
I,
you also diversify.
yes, and you know, a follow-up question on this topic would be, you know, because like Warren Buffett says, right? If you don't find a way to make money while you're asleep, you're gonna work until you die, right? So you need to find
Mhm.
ways to get those passive income streams, like you said, in different types of investments. Is there any specific there are specific things or investment types that you like or you follow or you want to invest more in?
I mean, it's a variety of things for me. It's been anything from individual stocks to ETFs to, uh, you know, T-bills to bonds to, like I said, I started small and also, real estate. We're also, all of us, many of us are invested in a lot of, multifamily investments. Um, and even investing in private businesses. I've
Hmm.
even recently uh, been investing in some private equity investments. So the key is you have to diversify too. So you hopefully invest in different parts of the market so that when one area is on a downturn, the other area is on the upturn, and then you have to remember that you're in it for the long haul. Very few people made money uh, in the short term. The way to become financially independent is with perseverance and long-term work. It doesn't come quick.
Yeah, there's very little. I mean, I don't know of any kind of get rich quick schemes that are out there anyway. You know, you have to
Well,
stay
there's what
in
the
the long term.
well, people will advertise them, but savvy financial investors know that's all false advertising, because anybody who has invested, I mean, all of us, people who have invested in different things, have there's investments where we've done well, but then also investments where we've done not so well. I
Yeah,
have made money, but then also lost money. So,
right.
and those of us that have done that know that there's no get rich quick scheme. Those don't exist. And if somebody promises you that, it's probably a scam. So,
Exactly.
you know.
That's true. That's true. Yes, I know you do very interesting scuba diver trips, right? And we talk about a lot about those trips when you come back from them. And I wanted to get your opinion on how do you deal with, you know, getting out of your comfort zone in general? Like, you know, you do pretty risky in scuba diving in general. It's a riskier thing to do if you don't know what you're doing, especially at the level that you are doing it. So, how do you get out of your comfort zone and deal with that?
Um, well, you start slow, you start baby steps, and you slowly and I also went through a lot of training. So, and as somebody who historically had a big fear of open water, it took me a while to get comfortable with the water. And once I was comfortable, you just slowly sort of, I started pushing the envelope, learned how to be a better diver. And then, I just developed a real love for the ocean. Like it's like, when you ask me who I am, I will tell you my first thing I identify is a diver. I identify first as a diver now, and second as an orthopedic surgeon, because it's just a
That's
huge
interesting.
part of my life.
I like that.
It's such a huge part of my life, and um, I would love to be a diver professionally one day. But I also like orthopedics so much that I don't think I would ever give up orthopedics. But diving is a huge part of my life. So in terms of um, I've always also felt that I don't shy away from things that make me nervous. So I've always had this sort of need for doing things that maybe make me a little uncomfortable, especially when it comes to diving. So if I'm thinking about getting in the water and it's making me a little uncomfortable, I prep as much as possible. I learn about what I'm gonna do. I'll take courses. I'll learn about what I'm doing, what animal I'm getting in the water with. Surround myself with very smart people, and then I'm gonna go do it.
Yes, I
So,
totally
you
agree
know, I
with
you
that.
know that I have a I know that I have a huge interest in animals, and I've already been in the water with all the sharks, and now I'm getting into the water with whales, different species of whales. So I just have such a love for the ocean. If I could be in the ocean every single day for the rest of my life, I would be super happy. Unfortunately, can't practice orthopedic surgery in the ocean, so I do have to
Yeah,
come back to my day job. But I love being in the water. I just absolutely love being in the water. And I just recently have been getting into free diving, practicing free diving, and that's just an incredible sport in itself. Trying to get
that's a
better at
different
that, but
level
I,
of
I just
out of comfort zone, right? That's an
yeah. So
upgraded level
yeah,
of discomfort.
yeah. So it's all, yeah, it's all about meditation and breath work, because you're not carrying a tank, you're just going down on your breath. So we just went on a free diving trip to Bonaire, and I was able to get down to 80 feet. I started at
Wow,
about 30. I was able to get down to 80 feet and extend my breath hold time for almost a minute and 30 seconds.
that's amazing.
And I, towards the end of the trip, after like 10 days of free diving, I got pretty comfortable getting down pretty deep. So now I'm exploring free diving, because with
That's
certain animals like whales, you can't really scuba dive. So you
yeah,
have to you have to snorkel or free dive with them. That's why I want to learn free diving.
yeah, that's amazing. This is one of the things that make you grow also, right? Because the more you get out of your comfort zone and you try new things that you're initially scared of, the more you grow at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting concept to me also to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there are there any projects in the future that you're excited about and you look forward to right now?
Um, well, I'm really excited about my upcoming trips. I've been planning a lot of trips. We just went through a mini house renovation.
Hmm.
So after we finished that, we planned a bunch of trips. So in September, we're going to go dive with humpback whales in French Polynesia.
Nice.
I've never been there before, so very excited about that. That's an area where the humpback whales come and they have their calves with them. So it's not just the mother whales, but also the babies. So we'll be able to dive with them. Then in over the new year, we're going to go to the Philippines and dive the Philippines. There's a species of shark there called the thresher shark, which I've never seen before. I've always wanted to dive with thresher sharks, so I'm going to do that over the new year. Next year, we're going to go to Dominica to dive with sperm whales. And then also for next year, we booked to go to Indonesia, Raja Ampat, which is,
Yes,
as you know, a bucket list destination for divers. So I'm super happy and excited about all these trips.
that's
So there's
awesome.
about 4 trips coming up, and then I'm going to plan some more. And then hopefully next year, another thing that I would really, really love to do is to photograph brown bears. I really enjoyed photographing black bears last year, and next year I would love to go photograph brown bears somewhere.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, that's those are all things that are not in the comfort zones of a lot of people. That's awesome. So I'd like to end towards the end now and to get your opinion on, you know, on a little nugget or advice for someone who would love to step in your footsteps. What would you say to them?
I think I think the most important thing is work hard, don't take no for an answer, persevere, outwork everyone else, take care of yourself. You only get one life, one body, take care of yourself, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. And I think work on your inner peace. This is probably the most important thing that a lot of us are missing. I've been working on that a lot in recent years. Inner peace is so important. You can have all the success in the world, you can be the busiest, most successful surgeon, entrepreneur. You could be Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. If you don't have inner peace, it's not going to be a good life.
That's awesome. That's a great thing to end on, right? Um, Dr. Pervaiz, it's been such a pleasure of having you on the show, and I really enjoy our conversation. I hope your trips are amazing,
Thank you.
um, and you keep doing what you're doing, and you keep being successful in everything that you do.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, and wish you luck. And I hope to maybe get you back on the show sometime.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.